Town officials will soon celebrate a renovated park in Hyannis. We have good news for anyone hoping for a town slip for their boat, and find out more about the new street art project in Hyannis. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, June 24th, 2015. I'm Sarah Mantle. Years of planning, design, and community input pay off for residents of the Tree Streets neighborhood in Hyannis. Ridgewood Park is complete. A rededication ceremony is scheduled for July. The park is not intended to be a destination, but a place for neighborhood residents and their children to gather safely. The park was funded in part by a Gateway Cities Park grant. A special rededication ceremony is set for Wednesday, July 8th at 5 p.m. to celebrate the revitalization of the park. The event will include speeches from local officials as well as the unveiling of a brand new sign. Two long-closed wait lists for slips at both Gateway Marina and the marina at Prince Cove may soon open up. The Waterways Committee voted to recommend increasing both wait lists from 25 to 50 individuals. Assistant Harbor Master Marina Manager Eric Schufelt talked about the need for the increase.
What we're proposing is to add 25 names to the Gateway and the Prince Cove Marina wait lists for slips. What we would do, I'll continue on this. The Gateway wait list right now currently has 12 names. In our offering, there were 13. We offered seven folks that had said yes on their application, and one person took a slip, which was very good. Prince Cove Marina, we currently have 27 names on the list. We had 6 that we offered that had said yes, that were in size of slips that we had. There were more than that, but we could only offer to the ones that we had a size with, and 0 slips were taken this year at Prince Cove. We also lost, I think, 6 slip holders from last year at Prince Cove. We had 6 people drop out. So we're trying to fill those. Yes.
So does that mean you have 6 open slips down there at Prince Cove?
That is correct. Actually, we have 7.
7, okay.
And how many do you have open at Gateway?
Gateway right now is in flux because we're waiting for dredging, which we're hoping that will be on this winter. That's in the queue for this winter. I have 4 right now that the water's so low that I can't put those in. I do have another 4 that are usable that I would like to sell or contract out.
The request will now go before Town Manager Tom Lynch for approval. If approved, a 30-day application period would soon begin, with names being selected using a lottery as soon as possible. You may notice some new artistic flares throughout the High Arts campus right here in Hyannis. Barnstable This Morning host Sarah Colvin learns more about the project with artist in residence Kate DeCiccio.
I'm Sarah Colvin here on the Village Green in downtown Hyannis with this week's, or for the next 2 weeks, the artist in residence, Kate DeCiccio. Kate, welcome, and it's been really kind of cool to see you doing this work.
Thank you. It's really fun to be here.
So tell me a little bit about, obviously behind us is a bench that previously just looked like a regular park bench, and now you're in the midst of decorating it, and I understand you're going to be kind of doing this all around the village of Hyannis.
Yeah, so there's an element of the project that's really about engaging spaces that might not otherwise be noticed, and so always a part of my work is kind of using imagery of nature and architecture and textiles to create this element of play on and off planes, so from the floor up the wall, jumped onto a telephone pole, over a bench. So this is an example of that.
Exactly, and something that people will be able to kind of follow as they walk around downtown. Talk to me a little bit about being a street artist. I understand you've worked across the country.
Mm-hmm. So For me, there's a lot of things that are really fun about the street. One is in a completely non-exclusive space, so everyone has access to the street. But also that there's so many like little nooks and corners of street spaces that aren't attended to when they're just like corners where there's trash or where dirt's collecting. And so as a street artist, you can really think about how to put art in interesting places and combine, the elements of beauty and mischief. So that then when people come after, they too, like you said, kind of feel like they're in this sort of like treasure hunt of like the person who came before them.
Absolutely, and certainly, this is definitely very noticeable out here. I want to talk a little bit about community involvement, because while you're here in Barnstable, in Hyannis, doing this work, you really want to involve the community in the project. And talk to me a little bit about, first of all, why that's important, and second of all, how you're going to accomplish that.
Yeah, so one of the other things that's kind of like a major part of my work is thinking about how to tell community narratives through the eyes of the people who live in the space wherever it is that I'm painting. So these 2 weeks I'm here in Hyannis, so it's really fun to sit down and talk with people about, being a tourist in their own town and who they really value for creating the experience that they think kind of like embodies the Cape Cod spirit or the Hyannis spirit. So it's been really fun talking to people about, where to go in September when everyone leaves and you get to go with your friends to the special place that you love, or where are the places that you want to make sure to bring your company, or, who are the people that you feel just kind of like, breathe Cape Cod and then make stuff that's just so inspirational for the rest of us. And so while I'm here, I'll be making portraits of some of our most fabulous locals.
Great, and that's going to happen at Asselton Park. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and that's going to be kind of a mural that's going to be up there at Asselton Park?
Yeah, so I'll be doing 4 portraits that will then kind of serve as the backdrop to the stage that's at Asselton Park. Yeah.
Wonderful. We're really looking forward to seeing that. I understand, too, while you're at the Geyer Barn, there's going to be a free talk on June 25th, and open to all, anyone who's curious about learning about your art.
Yeah. So on the 25th, I'll be talking about not just the Hyannis project, but also about community work and my work like as a whole, kind of what it's like to be a muralist who really sort of, embeds themselves in a community and has the chance to talk with people about their stories. And then on the weekend, on the 27th, 28th, I'll be doing a 2-day workshop. So I am really inviting people to come, and I'll teach stencil, and you'll make 2 panels that will actually go on the barn in Asselton Park, so they'll kind of like hug the portraits. So I definitely want there to be a community element, and it's really fun you don't have to be like a pro or someone who has any kind of like background experience. I really invite people who have no prior knowledge but have seen the work and thought like, oh, that looks kind of fun. I'd really love to just kind of like learn how that happens.
Great. And let's talk a little bit about your process, because I see, when I came into work this morning, the bench was just purple, and now it's got purple, it's got blue, it's got beautiful stencils on it, and it looks like you're working primarily with stencils and spray paint.
Yeah. So I cut all of my own stencils. Like I said, I get inspiration from textiles, from nature, from architecture, and I just create lots of small shapes. So one. So I just create small, simple shapes, and then I use spray paint and I just stack them on top of each other to create these kind of winding patterns.
Great. And how do you know when it's done? Do you have an idea, like when you started this bench, do you have an idea of what you wanted to look like, or is it just kind of something that develops over time?
Yeah. Well, before I came here, I had to choose the colors that I was going to work with because I had to bring all the paint. So I kind of like already had my palette, and I've been thinking a lot about sort of like forms that are both inspired by nature and the sea. So you'll see like a lot of round forms and shell-ish kinds of things. But as far as like being done, it's a lot of just like up and close work, step back and look at it, squint a little bit. So there's not really rules of being done. But I think, it's about a balance of contrast and, areas where there's tons of shapes and areas where there's not so many, and, how it kind of like crawls, and yeah.
Great. Well, Kate, welcome, and we'll let you get back to work, but thank you so much for talking with us, and we look forward to seeing your pieces all around downtown Hyannis.
We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we'll catch up with Town Councilor Sarah Cushing. She is a counselor for Precinct 10. Plus, we'll talk to Tom Caher with the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.